for the daughter's body. The father decided to lock her up and enjoy her slowly. Very soon he came up with an idea. First he sent his wife away on purpose. Then he pretended to ask his daughter to help carry something. The rebellious daughter surprisingly agreed this time. But when they got to the basement, Amy discovered there was a hidden door behind the bookshelf. She found it hard to believe, but since it was her father, she didn't think much of it. It was this natural trust that dragged her into an endless abyss. Before Amy could react, the father quickly walked out and locked the secret room door. Seeing herself locked inside, Amy screamed desperately, but the specially modified steel door was too thick. No sound could be heard from outside. She was terrified and at a loss. She thought her father was just trying to punish her, at most lock her up for a few days. But when she opened the box he asked her to move, and saw it was full of her personal items, she finally realized it was all part of his plan. A wave of fear surged through her heart. After screaming at the top of her lungs, she tried to unlock the door, but the father clearly wouldn't give her any chance to escape. Even worse, if the wrong password was entered 3 times, the room would automatically lose power. Even the ventilation fan would stop working. Then she found a flashlight, and screamed into the air vent with all her strength. But when the father heard the sound outside the door, he simply covered the vent with a blanket, and stacked clutter on top of it, so that no one would ever find out. That night, the whole family sat in the living room, discussing how to find the missing daughter. Only the father sat silently on the couch. Soon it was the second day. Amy was still trying passwords, but nothing worked. She lay hopelessly on the floor, unable to understand why her father did this. On the 4th day she heard sounds outside the door again. She hid behind a pillar, and when the father entered, she shoved him and ran out the door. She thought she could finally break free from the devil, but she didn't expect there was another steel door outside, and it was soundproof too. Even her loudest screams were useless. Just like that, Amy was caught again and dragged back into the room. Then the father began to threaten her. As long as she behaved in there, he would provide a good living condition. Otherwise she would be severely punished.
Do you understand?
And so, the father did unspeakable things to his daughter. This film is based on a true story. It's truly moral collapse. Amy, who had been violated, curled up in the corner crying in despair. From that moment on, her life no longer had a father in it. And when facing Amy's boyfriend, the father claimed she ran away with some thug a few days ago, told him to forget about her, and never look for her again. The innocent boy thought he'd been betrayed, and left with a face full of disappointment. During the 21 days of captivity, the father brought some supplies. He even pulled out a cake from a bag, and gave Amy a long dress. The helpless Amy had no choice but to put it on. The father said today he was going to make up her 18th birthday celebration, then asked Amy what she wanted. Of course what Amy really wanted was freedom, but the father said that was impossible. She could only earn material rewards, but only if she worked hard for them. Amy tried to awaken his conscience, but didn't know his mind was already twisted. He didn't allow Amy to call him dad. Instead he made her call him darling like a lover. Amy had no choice but to obey. After hearing that he told her to come over, as expected, Amy was violated by the beast once again. It was now the 38th day. Amy was eating cold canned food like usual. She suddenly noticed the lid was very sharp. She touched the edge of the lid, and a spark of hope lit up in her heart. That day she dressed up carefully, held her homemade weapon, ready to strike when the father let his guard down. But he had already seen through her plan. He threw the girl to the ground. Just like that, unknowingly a whole year passed. The small room that once had just a shower was now completely filled, which also meant Amy had suffered countless times. She had gone from a young girl to a pregnant woman in her 10th month. Her water was about to break, and her father was nowhere nearby. All she could do was follow the book, and give birth on her own. Do this, then that, finally screaming in unbearable pain, with the cry of a baby. 19-year-old Amy became a mother for the first time, but the new life didn't change the father. He just brought a few basic supplies, and shamelessly said becoming a mother was an honor he gave her. Told Amy not to thank him. Such absurd words made Amy feel helpless. She quietly organized the supplies with her head down, but when she saw a fruit knife, she no longer had the courage she once did, knowing it would all be in vain. Soon 4 years passed. Amy's mother was still worried about her. One day she cautiously suggested hiring a private investigator, but the father furiously rejected the idea. He ignored his wife's feelings, and left in a hurry. Meanwhile the basement had become like a small home. The father shuttled between 2 families every day, playing different roles. Amy's daughter had started drawing and writing. She proudly showed the father her work, even though she had no idea whether the man in front of her was her grandpa or her dad. What's worse, Amy's belly was getting bigger again.